Walker, who's the Vice Chair of the Board of Directors at the Arms Control Association. Good to have you with us, Paul. So the Syrian regime and its main backer, Russia, have consistently said that they have never used chemical weapons. Based on this latest report, that would seem to be inaccurate.
It is inaccurate, Shirley. I'm pleased to be with you, but sorry to see this latest report, which once again shows that Syria has used chemical weapons, injured and killed many people, and we know that, all the way back to 2013. They've probably used chemical weapons several hundred times. But this report, which is a very important report, it's the second one from something called the IIT, the Investigation and Identification Team, which is an inspectorate basically set up, a group of inspectors to review really what's happened in Syria and past allegations that have come from their fact-finding mission, what we call the FFM. And this shows again that Syria, in February 2018, did indeed drop a chlorine bomb, a barrel bomb, on a village called Sarakib in the Idlib province. And in this case, didn't kill anybody apparently, but injured a number of people. The first report from this team, the IIT, at the OPSW, the Organization for the Prohibition of Chemical Weapons, was issued just a year ago as well. So these initial two reports, and there will be more to come, are very important in helping to show that the Syrians are, year by year, month by month, violating their obligations never to use, never to test or build or produce chemical weapons whatsoever. So it's a blow against Syria. It's a big blow against Syria.
So what happens next then, Paul? Because clearly chemical weapons are illegal under international law. These reports are saying that the Syrian regime has used chemical weapons. What action can be taken? Can the regime be held accountable?
It can in different ways, both politically and perhaps economically at this point. There have been many, statements, national statements, multilateral statements. The OPSW itself in The Hague has spoken out against Syrian use of chemical weapons. Unfortunately, the Syrians continue to absolutely deny they've ever used chemical weapons, even though they had a big stockpile, as you may recall, and they gave up over 1,300 tons of chemical agents and precursor chemicals to the OPSW to be destroyed back in 2013. The Russians also back the Syrians and deny, likewise, that Syria's used chemical weapons, and the Iranians also have the same story. They will be held accountable, given the recent statements at the OPSW from the Executive Council just a few weeks ago, when the OPSW Conference of States Parties reconvenes next week in The Hague. And I think what initial reaction will be an overwhelming vote against any use of chemical weapons, which we've seen many times in the past, but also perhaps taking away all the privileges of Syria under the Chemical Weapons Convention and at the OPSW. This can also be further referred to the United Nations, which I'm sure it will be. And the United Nations also has the right to issue sanctions against Syria, and state parties also have an option of taking unilateral action against Syria if they see so fit.
So we'll wait to see what happens then. Paul, thank you very much indeed for that. Paul Walker there.